All right, I think we are going to go ahead and get started. Once again, welcome and thanks everyone for joining today's Energy Tech University Prize brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy's Office of Technology Transitions. My name is Jackie Petrie from the National Renewable Energy Lab and the Energy Tech Up Prize team. Before we get started today, I just want to go over a few quick housekeeping items. We are obviously using Zoom. And you have two options for connecting to audio today. So if you experience any technical difficulties, you can't hear the presenters for any reason, you can change your settings by going to the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, selecting the mute button and the little up arrow to change your settings. This is a reminder to all of our panelists to make sure you're muted when you are not presenting. If at any point you have a question during today's presentation, you can submit it through the chat or Q&A panels at the bottom of your screen. We recommend using chat to ask technical difficulty questions and submit programmatic questions through the Q&A box just so we don't miss anything, but we will monitor both and we'll address all questions at the end of today's presentation. We are recording today, so we will make a link to the recording available in the next day or so through the HeroX platform, which we will go over later in the presentation. With that, I'm going to hand things over to Joe Simon of the National Renewable Energy Laboratory and Energy Tech University Prize team. Joe, you are on mute.
Hi, thank you so much, Jackie. So my name is Joe Simon. I'm at the National Renewable Energy Lab, and we're excited to be helping to coordinate this program for the Office of Technology Transitions at the U.S. Department of Energy. To kick things off, I'd love to turn things over to Victor Kane, the Commercialization Program Team Lead with OTT, to tell us a little bit about the program and the competition itself. Victor?
All right. Thanks, Joe, and thanks everybody for joining us to learn a little bit more about this program. Hopefully, we can work through some of the questions that you might have about this program and pique your interest enough to participate and potentially win some of the prizes that are available. Next slide, please. Before we really dig into Energy Tech Up, I wanted to make sure everyone on the call was aware of the office that the program is coming out of. That office is called the Office of Technology Transitions, which is part of the Department of Energy. And the mission of OTT is to expand the public impact of the Department of Energy's Research, Development, Demonstration, and Deployment, or RDD&D portfolio. And that's done by really being the main place in the Department of Energy where we think about technology transfer. So the department has lots of investments in various research and innovation at different stages, but not all of it reaches the market. And what OTT tries to do is come up with programs that can help make it a little bit easier for things to enter the market or to break down barriers that are preventing things from entering the market. We really see ourselves as sort of the front door of the Department of Energy, a place where anyone can come to learn more about the Department of Energy and how they can help accomplish its mission. And we really try and work both inside the department and outside of the department to facilitate this sort of market pull to make sure that the investments of DOE are really addressing market needs and getting things into getting things commercialized. We have a number of programs in this space, and our team, the Commercialization Programs team, runs all of these programs. We're constantly thinking about new programs that are that we can develop. We also have released a request for innovation, or excuse me, a request for information to help us build the next programs. So please look out for that if you're interested in helping there. But all of you are here to specifically hear about our latest program, which is the Energy Tech University Prize program. Next slide. Also called the Energy Tech Up program. And this program was designed tasking student teams to develop and present a business plan that leverages national lab developed and other high potential energy technologies. We released this program because we really want to tap into the energy and enthusiasm of all of the students across the nation. We want to leverage as many universities as we can, as many students as we can, and we tried to design this program in a way that it's accessible to anyone that's really interested in trying to participate in this program. And so what you'll hear in this presentation is sort of the nuts and bolts of how everything works. And with that, I'll hand it back to you, Joe.
Thanks so much, Victor. I have lost my mouse. So to talk through the details of the Energy Tech University Prize. For today, we'll spend a few minutes explaining the goals of the program, talk through eligibility for the students, the institutions, and the technologies themselves, explain a little bit more about the program structure, walk through expectations of the project timeline, and let you know about the benefits that our competing students, partnering organizations, universities, colleges, and industry itself can have through this program, both in terms of cash prizes, as well as access to typically unavailable information through things like the Energy I-Core activity, the lab partnering service, and to share our partnership with Carnegie Mellon University's Energy Institute's Energy Week, where students will have an opportunity to present their solutions to a panel of industry judges and connect and network with each other. We really do want to see this to be a national effort with a large opportunity for participation. So you'll learn more about how we will reach into regional and centralized communities and provide ways for you to develop or commercialize your own university or collegiate institution technologies, or to look at some of the technologies that have been developed and are ripe for commercialization from the US Department of Energy. We'll have a few minutes for next steps, and then happy to address any questions that you have. So, why are we here? We believe that energy really does enable the success of our country, and that energy is everywhere, whether it's resilience in hospitals, or it's operating the devices that we use every day, or powering our homes and our businesses, enabling transportation. This energy really is varied and complex, and it really is changing over time. And this competition is open to all energy technologies, and we're going to operate under a very broad definition of energy. So we want to see your innovative and creative solutions for how you can develop businesses that have an impact. Is it leveraging a new technology, or is it adding a new type of business plan to a technology that's already available, bringing it to a new market, thinking about a new pricing model, a new financial structure? Often we recognize that energy can be seen as a difficult field to enter, but we want you to understand that there are ways for it to be regional, for it to be small scale, or for it to be venture scale. There's ways for you to consider all of these different approaches, and the Department of Energy has technologies, innovations, researchers, and solutions that cross-cut, whether it's your regional need or your national need. There's lots of things to consider when thinking about the energy supply and energy needs of the United States. We also recognize that opportunities are changing constantly, whether it's production versus consumption, whether it's transportation versus homes or businesses. Maybe there's new opportunities in material science. Maybe there's new opportunities with the time and place of energy. But we recognize that business innovation is needed. There's ways for you to think creatively about new types of generation, to think about where and when energy should be used. Is it about logistics or transportation, manufacturing? Are there things you can consider for material science or other types of innovations? Or is it about cybersecurity or financial models? Is it about consumers or businesses? We are open in this competition to see what you're passionate about, and we encourage schools, regardless of your background in energy, to think about how you can take unique approaches and develop a business plan that gets people excited about standing up a new solution that can be impactful for its consumers or its market overall. The goal of this program is to really build engagement with colleges, universities, and the Department of Energy alongside our national labs and industry, so that it's not only for schools that have worked with the Department of Energy before, but community colleges, regional organizations, those who are developing or new energy programs, those that are in related fields, to really think about these new opportunities, to explore some of the lab developed technologies, to work with your own tech transfer offices, and to think about ways that you can inspire others for the possibilities of leveraging these energy technologies for business benefits. We want to see some increased commercialization and help launch careers, whether that's with a startup, a utility, a national lab, the Department of Energy, a university, or all different types of opportunities. We think that this program can help kickstart that conversation. This really is a business plan competition, and we want to see ways for you to strengthen your own energy community, to look across your region, to look across your state, to look across your metro area, and to look nationwide on how these different pieces can come together. We think that by identifying these business opportunities and thinking differently about the ways that this technology could be commercialized, or that you could approach using an already commercialized technology in a new business model, we can all work together to help secure our energy future. And so this is all very big picture, but how will the University Prize actually work? What will we actually ask our teams to do? And how can you plan for success now in October for a program that's going to take place in early 2022? Ultimately, the Energy Tech University Prize is seeking multidisciplinary student teams to develop and present a business plan for lab developed or high potential energy technologies. So if you are with a tech transfer office, an entrepreneurship center, or you have a technology that you're passionate about that was not developed at the national labs, we'd love to see the business plans surrounding those capabilities. But if you're new to the market, or you want to see what the national labs have developed, we'll also provide resources for you to explore some ready for commercialization opportunities within the lab ecosystem. We do encourage you to think about being a multidisciplinary team, ways where you can have business students, marketing students, paired with electrical engineering students, material science students, health students. Maybe there's different ways that all these pieces can come together. In partnership with the Department of Energy's American-Made Challenges, we really want this to be approachable, equitable, and scalable nationwide. We want you to be able to understand how to approach participation in the competition and to have the resources you need to be a successful team that presents a great idea. Distinct from many startup competitions, we are seeking to choose winners based on the strength of their proposal, not based on their CV or their resume or the likelihood of actually running that particular business. We want to see your creativity, we want to see your innovation and your passion. And if you can move that business forward, great. If you move forward with your career in a different way and are more familiar with the energy industry, the Department of Energy, and your own region's needs and opportunities, that's a success as well. We're excited to offer $250,000 in cash prizes, including $100,000 from the Office of Technology Transitions, which we'll talk about in a few slides, as well as $25,000 program area bonus prizes from geothermal, buildings, solar energy, water power, nuclear energy, and the fossil energy and carbon management technology offices. If you choose to pursue a technology that relates to one or more of these different technology areas, you'll be eligible for additional bonus prizes beyond the first, second, third, and regional winner prizes that we'll talk about in a few minutes. We think there's great ways to really think about your regional needs and the national needs in whatever scale you would like. Whether it's a lifestyle business or a venture scale business, we want to see these solutions. So how does it work? Ultimately, this program is going to operate in 3 phases. In January of 2022, we want teams to explore business and energy technology opportunities, and we'll provide ways for 10 or 15 or 20 teams to present at each of about 15 regional events. This will enable you to work across your own community, meeting your own needs, and meeting with industry professionals, other faculty, other students, and other passionate people who could help you launch your career and could help you share and build your business idea. Through these regional events, we'll identify 15 or 16 regional winners who will then be invited to refine their market analysis and their business opportunity. We'll provide those regional winners with a small cash prize, with access to tools like the Energy I-Core materials, as well as some tailored mentorship from Department of Energy laboratory and national office staff. Over the course of these 2 months, they'll refine that business opportunity, and ultimately, in partnership with Carnegie Mellon University, will be able to pitch their viable business plan as part of Energy Week in March of 2022. This is where we'll identify the first, second, and third place overall winners, as well as the bonus prize recipients. This competition is ultimately open to any level of student, whether you're at a community college, an undergraduate level, graduate level, or pursuing a terminal degree. We want to see the solutions that you have. The criteria that we write is really about the innovation and the business model itself. We expect some technologies to be more robust in terms of their commercialization, and others to be more early stage. Some businesses may be smaller, some may have a larger growth trajectory, and either will be evaluated for their potential and their likelihood to succeed based on the model that was developed. We recognize that any lab developed or other high potential energy technology can be used, and that sometimes markets may cross. You may have an energy technology that is serving the needs of the medical community, or you may have a software solution that is uniquely being tailored to meet the needs of a variable energy load. We'd love to see these different approaches, and we want to see how you're able to pull these pieces together. We do want to see teams of at least 3 students, and you should be enrolled in at least one class and pursuing a degree. Beyond that, the team captain should be a US citizen to be able to receive your prize funding. But other than that, you're able to connect to these different levels. In terms of the rules, these will be published in mid-November, and they'll be available on our competition management platform. It'll be a simple document that defines our program goals, the eligibility, the submission requirements, and the judging evaluation statements that are used by the industry professionals who will determine the winners overall. Make sure you follow the challenge to be notified when they are released. You can see a brief preview here, though, where you'll be able to write a 100-word summary, something like a elevator pitch. You'll be able to share your market assessment, who's going to use the product or service, what is the market, what's the business strategy, the technology identification, market assessment, and ultimately the judges are evaluating to what extent you agree or disagree with some of these evaluation statements. It's not who's going to produce the most amount of money or the highest return on investment, but rather how well did you approach the problem, how creative were you in your solution, and what's the actual impact that this program might have on the success of that business. Ultimately, you can follow us on HeroX, which will be our competition management platform. As mentioned earlier, this will be part of the American Made Challenges Network. So within this network, there's a great list of professionals, other organizations, other prizes, other resources that you can leverage to share and build your idea and get feedback along the way. At herox.com/energytechup, you can choose follow to make sure you get all the updated information as it is developed over the next few months and as we approach the programs that will take place in January and then throughout February and March of 2022. We're excited to be part of this network so that you can access additional professionals, additional organizations, and additional resources as you consider participating in this program. As mentioned, we do really want this to be approachable and to build an ecosystem of people who are interested and passionate about energy and the energy industry across the United States. To help ensure that we're able to connect with all schools, whether they're community colleges, regional institutions, or those that have long-term established relationships with the Department of Energy, we're going to be working with about 15 regional convener partners who will host an event in January of 2022, where those teams can pitch their initial ideas. And the winner from each region will advance to the refined stage. We believe that in this way, you'll be able to react to your regional needs, connect with relevant industry partners, identify some follow-on opportunities, get mentorship, and really just collaborate with other faculty and other students who are passionate about energy in the same way that you are. I would warn you to say that this map is preliminary only. We are securing some of our final regional convener partners right now, and there's some flexibility in where the boundaries might be. But recognize that if you would like to talk about being a regional convener, please let us know. Or if you want to think about where you might present, we'll have additional information on HeroX. We are pursuing opportunities for both virtual and in-person participation as whatever might be appropriate in January of 2022. We want all schools and all teams to feel welcome and able to participate regardless of travel distance or other constraints. As we mentioned earlier, the Explore phase will take place in January of 2022. In the time between now and then, you can start to think about potential energy technologies, you can build up a potential team, and you can identify ways for you to pitch an interesting idea that would advance the energy industry, create jobs, or create new benefits for consumers or businesses. Once we identify those regional winners, we'll make sure that you have the resources to really compete on the national stage, to get follow-on resources from collaboratory organizations, and to present your school, your idea, and your innovation well to industry and nationally recognized judges as part of the Carnegie Mellon University's Energy Week. So you're doing all of this work, and we're excited to see the ideas that you have. But where are we going to go from there? What do you win? What else do you get other than your experience? For each of our regional winners, we'll provide $2,000 in cash prizes each. We think that this can help you advance your technology and also plan to attend CMU's Energy Week in March of 2022. First place will be $50,000, second place, 15, third place, 5, and then any of those regional winners is eligible to receive one or more of those technology bonus prizes. We look forward to providing these resources so that you can continue to advance your technology, your business, or your own careers. There won't be constraints on how those prize funds actually have to be used. Along the way, we'll provide a number of resources to help you succeed. We'll work to highlight some energy technologies with business potential. So amongst the many different technologies that have been developed, patented, and are available to license within the Department of Energy's portfolio, we'll help you identify those that might be primed for commercialization. We'll talk through how to review some technology summaries and how to have conversations with some of those experts who might want to move that technology forward. We'll provide access to our Energy I-Core educational materials, and we'll provide some customized and targeted mentorship from Department of Energy or laboratory staff. We also think those cash prizes can be a motivator, and we'll work alongside the American Made Network and many of our other industry organization partnerships to provide industry connections along the way. With that, I'd love to turn things over briefly to Zach Bays to talk about Energy I-Core. Zach?
All right, thanks, Joe. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you very much. So as Joe mentioned, I am Zach Bays. I'm a commercialization manager in the Office of Technology Transitions, along with Victor Kane. I'm talking to you a little bit about our Energy I-Core program. Just to give a kind of brief overview of it, it's a commercialization and really kind of customer discovery training program that we developed several years ago for our national lab scientists, really focused on what you can see there on those bullets, taking the laboratory developed technologies and really investigating opportunities and finding paths to market for a lot of that. So obviously that's a main element of the program. We also really look at training our national lab researchers to understand commercialization and really just infuse that into the way that they think about and do research at our national labs, in support of DOE's mission, which is, obviously to develop these technologies, but to really, extract the value from them, it really involves the commercialization aspect and partnering with the private sector and actually getting these things deployed out to the market. And then really, you can see there, we have part of our mission within OTT is to take the the culture of the labs, which is really and sometimes has been very, very R&D focused, and to really get a sense of commercialization and entrepreneurship kind of instilled into the culture of the DOE enterprise. And so that's a little quick overview of the program. If you go to the next slide, please. You can see here, all of our, well, not all, but 12 of our national labs have taken part in the Energy I-Core program over the last several years. So really kind of goes all across the country. You can see there how many different technology areas we have focused on. So talking about the energy technologies that you may be pursuing or maybe investigating as part of this program. You can see, we've obviously worked in computing, security, environmental management, solar, fuel cells, geothermal, fossil energy, and things like that. So we've really kind of expanded over the last several years the types of energy technologies, and I might even say energy adjacent technologies that we have kind of funneled through this program. So it's been really, really valuable piece of DOE and the way that we think about commercialization and try to facilitate tech transfer from our technologies. Can you go to the next slide, please? And really just kind of, this is probably what's mostly relevant to you guys, looking at the core concepts of the program and what it really covers. So you can see here, in these bullets, business model canvas, that's, really a core component of the program that you go through. The customer discovery process, which anyone that you talk with about kind of a startup formation, business model development, customer discovery is really, really one of the kind of core foundational pieces of this, is really getting out and investigating through an interview process, the customer base, the potential customer base of this technology, and really getting an insight from them as to how this technology may be valuable to them and how to best position it and for a success in the market. Obviously understanding the ecosystem, value proposition development, getting that market feedback. We look at things like supply chains and basically all the elements that really go into understanding how to put a business model together and really have a nice kind of roadmap to understand how to pursue a commercialization plan. And so, this is a really kind of high level overview of what the program is really all about. And about a year ago, we decided, based on a lot of kind of consistent growth in interest and demand for this curriculum, what we've typically done is had multiple cohorts a year that we put through this program to really kind of guide them through it. But in addition, what we've decided to do, quite recently, is put together what we're calling the asynchronous model of the Energy I-Core curriculum. So a video series that's meant to be online and available to all of our national labs. That gives them the ability to kind of at their own pace and at their own time get access to a lot of this information and this training. So this is really a resource that we've developed for our national labs to really expand the reach of this curriculum and this training. However, what we're talking about today is making this curriculum and training available to all of you who are participating in the University Prize. And really just so it's effectively a really valuable resource that is not publicly available right now kind of to the general public, but we certainly want to give this to you guys, make it available so you have the opportunity to learn from it, get a lot of these same insights that we've been developing for our lab performers and our lab scientists, and really hopefully it gives you a lot of insight and help in understanding the commercialization process and developing your business plans.
Great. Thanks so much, Zach. So there's a lot of technologies that have been developed at the National Lab, as you heard about, and many of our researchers have tried to move some of those to commercialization, but sometimes they're not able to entirely do so or leave the National Lab, or those technologies have not yet been licensed by an industry organization. And so how do you understand what the lab has developed? With that, I'm excited to turn things over to Laura Burke to talk a little bit about the lab partnering service and how you can use this to kickstart some of your ideas and excitement around energy technologies and energy opportunities. Laura?
All right, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Laura Burke. I am a product and project manager for the Lab Partnering Service. And so what the Lab Partnering Service is, simply put, is a digital front door to the nation's lab, the DOE lab experts and facilities. And it allows users like you to quickly discover and connect with those technologies or experts. So that's kind of the Lab Partnering Service motto. It's discover, connect, and partner. And external partners can use LPS to discover DOE's cutting edge research and technologies and potentially partner to develop new products. So anyone can access labpartnering.org is the URL. It's completely free. And it includes profiles for 21 labs and sites, nearly 500 experts at DOE, 300 plus facilities, almost 2,000 technology summaries, 30,000 patents and patent applications, and nearly 400 technology transfer success stories. And so success stories are great for this audience to be aware of when you're going to labpartnering.org, because they'll allow you to find some inspiration with examples of companies and organizations that have partnered with DOE to create valuable and applicable technologies for the marketplace, if you're kind of looking to get some ideas and inspiration there. But so that whole list of numbers I just presented of resources available is a lot to sift through. So the Energy Tech Up team has worked with labs to identify promising energy technologies, and there's actually a dedicated page called energytechup.labpartnering.org. I'm sure the URL we dropped in the chat, you're seeing a picture of it here. And so there's currently 42 technology summaries there for you to take a look at and explore. As the slide says, this page is not finalized. There will be more to come, and there will be some additional functionalities loaded. So if you check back in about a month, mid-November, it will be a more complete list. But it's just here to be a valuable resource for you to more easily sift through the promising energy technologies that are available from DOE-funded research. And I think that is pretty much all I need to cover. Like, the teams are not restricted to use the technologies that are listed on this page. And it's just meant to be a helpful tool for you as you embark on this competition. If you have any questions about using Lab Partnering Service, please feel free to put it in Q&A, or you can reach out to the Lab Partnering Service team at lps@hq.doe.gov, and I'll also drop that as a resource. I'm happy to talk with anyone about using the tool. If you do have any questions, don't hesitate. Thanks.
Great. Thanks so much, Laura. As mentioned, we are so excited about the ideas that you might develop, whether it's leveraging your own university or collegiate institution technology, whether it's a new approach or a new business plan for an already commercialized technology, or it's leveraging one of these lab developed technologies that you can find through the Lab Partnering Service. We think combined with this amount of information, leveraging some of the educational resources of the Energy I-Corps and connecting with some of the industry experts and the network of the American Made Network, you can really build your success in creating a new career, creating a new business, or creating a new opportunity for moving some of these technologies forward. As you move through participation in the competition, we want to give you a national stage to present your great ideas, to present your great solutions. And we're excited to be working with Carnegie Mellon University and the Institute's Energy Week to be able to enable you to present to industry panel as part of that program. With that, I'd love to turn things over to Anna Sifkin, who can speak a little bit more about their organization and the program and our partnership. Anna?
Great. Thank you so much, Joe. And thank you to the DOE, to the Office of Technology Transitions, and to NREL for the opportunity to bring all of you to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So we're so pleased and excited to be co-hosting this event. It will happen, as mentioned a couple of times, during CMU Energy Week 2022. And the dates of that are March 21 through 25. So that's a Monday to Friday series of events. The good news is that if you participate and you're a part of this, then you'll be able to go to all the programs that are included during that week. So we have usually around 100 different speakers. We have panels. Hundreds of people will be there, including investors. We are having the American Made Solar Prize pitch showcase at the same time, which also brings in investors. And so you'll be able to participate not only in this event, but in other events. So regardless of your interest in this, this competition, as things move forward, we want to make sure that you're thinking about Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania next March. So look for registration early next year. Continue along in the Energy Tech Up Prize, and we hope to see you in March of 22 in Pittsburgh. And thanks again.
Great. Thanks so much, Anna. So I've seen some questions coming through, and we'll try to address those in just a few minutes. But I'd love to spend a couple minutes now recapping what we've discussed and giving you some advice for next steps. As mentioned, the Office of Technology Transitions Energy Tech University Prize is open to students of all levels, whether at community colleges, undergraduate, graduate, or of terminal degrees. And we are seeking for ways to either leverage new technologies or to do a new business model for an existing technology and how you can move that forward. So as you go from now in October through the actual program activities, which will take place with the regional conveners in January of 2022, you can spread the word, you can build a team, you can get some excitement, and you can begin to explore the energy industry and the energy technology. You can follow us on HeroX at herox.com/energytechup. This is important so that you will receive our additional information, our resources, our rules, our additional guidance and constraints as we develop and release those in the next few weeks and the next month. And then we encourage you to stay in touch with us as the organizers via ott.energytechup@nrel.gov. The resources to help you spread the word. Just after this call, we will share a link to the recording. We'll point you towards a 90-second explainer video by our Deputy Secretary from the U.S. Department of Energy, David Turk, that's available publicly. So it's a very quick 90-second summary of what this program is. We'll provide a one-page PDF flyer, as well as a one-slide summary that you could use with your organizations, on your websites, in your class, or with your associations to sort of build some interest in the program. So we'll provide all of these resources to everyone who registered for this webinar, whether you're here live or you're listening to the recording. If you registered, you should be able to access it. And if you're just listening to this later, you will also find these resources on HeroX/EnergyTechUp. The U.S. Department of Energy page at energy.gov/EnergyTechUp will also have high-level information and be something that you can share with partners, with industry, collaborators, or your colleagues at your institution to show how the Department of Energy is engaged in this program overall. I've mentioned this a few times, but you can follow our challenge on our competition platform. Ultimately, this is where you'll be able to upload some deliverables. This is where our judges will assign scores, and this is where we'll provide additional details like the rules, the exact presentation schedule, how you'll identify the region that you want to participate in, etc. So this competition platform is also used for a number of other Department of Energy prizes. So if you're not aware of all of the efforts that the Department of Energy makes, I encourage you to also look elsewhere at the American Made Challenges page to see things like the Solar Prize or a Software Prize, things about water or geothermal or other activities. So there's additional parallel efforts that you might also want to consider within this ecosystem. We're excited that you're here, and we hope that you can choose to follow the challenge to make sure that you continue to get these updates as we build out this program. As you're excited and you're trying to explore some ideas, we encourage you to visit energytechup.labpartnering.org to look at some of these lab-developed technologies. As mentioned by Laura, there's over 1,200 technology summaries, 30,000 patents, 500 experts. There's a lot to see. If you start at the Energy Tech Up page, you'll see a small subset of that, something just to get you excited, that's approachable, that may be ready for commercialization. And then you can build from that. You are not constrained or restricted to these technologies or really anything on Energy Tech Up. You can develop your own institution technologies or you could leverage some others that are already commercialized, but in a new way. We recognize that businesses are always at different stages of growth. We will be looking for some new work associated with your participation in Energy Tech University Prize. So if there's already a fully developed business plan, a fully funded business that is probably a bit beyond what we're expecting for Energy Tech University Prize, but there's ways for you to consider and explore new opportunities, new structures, or new approaches. So how that is able to fall within the constraints will be provided in additional detail as we continue to move forward. So think about these opportunities, think about your teaming potential, and think about some of the different ways that you can really engage both regionally and nationally to impact and affect energy across the United States. With that, thank you all for attending. We can spend some time answering some questions, and happy to continue to keep you involved and engaged as we grow this brand new inaugural program for the U.S. Department of Energy Office of Technology Transitions. Jackie, could you tell us if there's any questions that we could try to address in the chat?
Yes, we have a number of questions, Joe, so I'm gonna just dive right in. So I think a good place to start is just confirming that this competition is only focused on a business plan idea, not the actual development of the idea, correct?
Yes, that is a great clarification and something that we're really excited about. In many ways, we often see other competitions that focus on the execution of that business or the raising of funds, or are you the exact right people to be the CEO and CTO? And that is distinct from the Office of Technology Transitions Energy Tech University Prize, which is a business plan competition that is around the plan itself, that's around the ideas and around the technology potential, the commercialization potential. So this is a plan, it's an ideas-based competition. If some of these ideas move forward and become their own standalone businesses, that's great. We'd be very excited by that. But that's not the criteria that will be given to our industry judging panel. The criteria will be instead around the plan itself, the assessment of the market, the potential for characterization, commercialization, and the potential for growth through this participation.
Great. We have a lot of questions around the makeup of teams. So is only one team per university allowed?
We'd love to have more than one team per university. So ultimately, we'll be working with our regional conveners to be able to have a presentation or a pitch night or a pitch session in late January or early February of 2022 at a time that makes sense for their region, for their community, for existing events. And so it will really be responsive to your regional needs, but there can definitely be multiple teams per institution. So ultimately, we'll be building out more details and assessing interest throughout the next few months to make sure that we right size the number of regional conveners with the number of teams that are excited and interested to participate. But there'll definitely be opportunities for multiple teams from a single institution to be able to pitch their ideas and to be part of that regional event.
Okay, next question asks if members of a team can be from different universities or if they all have to be from the same university.
Sure. Collaboration is great. As you heard early on in our program goals, one major tenet or facet of this program is to build a community, to build a network, to build a collaboratory organization where people are able to cross their silos, whether it's different silos at your own institution, so your School of Engineering versus your School of Business, or it's across different institutions. We will encourage and enable that type of multidisciplinary collaboratory engagement so that you can have industry professionals helping to guide your team. You can have different students of different majors in different areas and presenting those solutions. We do expect this to be a student-led effort where it is the students presenting to the industry judges, it is the students developing that business plan, but you can, of course, have support from industry advisors or industry mentors along the way, or recent graduates or faculty type individuals can support your project as well.
Great. Is there a maximum number of students allowed on a team?
So we've seen this in many different ways. I will say there's no stated maximum, but there are often functional maximums. As your team gets larger, communication gets harder, delegation of responsibility gets harder. So I would just encourage you to make sure that you right size your team for the amount of work to be done, the idea that you want to pitch, and how that would be executed in this business plan focus. So if you have someone who's considering your customer stories, you're having someone thinking about the financial models, someone that's considering the path to commercialization, the different types of manufacturing constraints, your outreach strategy, you may have a different person for each one of those different areas. But if you get greater than 8 or 10 or 15 people, maybe you'll lose an ability to clearly assign responsibility or communicate effectively with each other. So no maximum, just that minimum of 3. And then the maximum is just more of a practical maximum as communication gets harder, as your team gets larger.
Great. Does a team need to have incorporated as a company in order to compete?
It's a great question. So for this competition, because it is the business plan competition and not the startup competition, we do not expect teams to have to be an incorporated business, S Corp, LLC, or similar. This really is a collegiate focused business plan competition that is looking for your ideas, your innovations, and your approaches. And as mentioned earlier, the primary contact on the HeroX entry must be a US citizen to be able to receive that prize funding, and we'll work with your team to distribute that across whoever's registered as part of your team. There'll be some technical details on the HeroX page, but it does not need to be an actual business along the way. You would, of course, still be responsible for any tax implications of the receipt of those prize funds as appropriate for receiving prize funds, but it doesn't have to be a business to do so.
Great. Joe, and you mentioned US citizenship in order for payments. Does all the work have to be done by students in the US, or can group members work from other places, such as studying abroad?
So the way that we've currently presented the information is that you have to be engaged in and enrolled in a US-based accredited collegiate institution. Where you're sitting in the world, I don't believe is a constraint as to the ability to distribute those prize funds, but that will have to be entirely clarified and verified on our HeroX platform. So I don't think that we have constraints around where you're physically sitting, but you do have to be actively enrolled in a US-based collegiate institution that is accredited by the US Department of Education. So there is some constraints there, but we'll have to get into your exact details, and we can do so in the next few weeks.
Great. We have a couple questions around the national lab developed technologies or other high potential energy technologies. To confirm, Joe, the competition is not limited to technologies that are DOE funded, correct?
Correct. We are providing resources. So if you're from a school that has not done much energy work in the past, maybe you're at a community college or just a different liberal arts school that doesn't have a deep IP or technical portfolio in energy, we'd love for you to be able to look at those lab developed laboratory technologies and to think about the commercialization and business plan pathways for those areas. However, if your institution or your group of students does have a separately developed technology that you'd like to see leverage, you're welcome to present that as well. We're not restraining you or restricting you to the US Department of Energy lab developed technologies, but we want that to be a resource that can help every team compete successfully, regardless of your schools or your programs or your majors background in this area. You're more than welcome to work with your own technology transfer office at your university or your collegiate institution or anything that your group of students have developed to think about how that could be built into really an innovative and impactful business plan.
Great. One question we got asks, how does a team get picked to pitch at a regional event?
Sure. So we will have a registration site that opens again mid-November and is available through that January activity where you're able to register for the slots that are available. At this time, there's still some work to be done on our end to identify what the maximum number of teams we might be able to host at each one of our regional conveners, whether or not there needs to be a down selection process to seat those 15 or 20 or 25 different presentations that can take place at a regional convener activity. But at this time, we're expecting and hoping that we're able to enable and host all teams who are interested in presenting their initial technology at this regional event. So we'll adjust and flex what that program looks like or the number of hours that we have available for those regional convener events so that it matches the level of interest that we see from the community itself. Because again, one of our major goals of hosting this program is to build that energy ecosystem, to connect more schools, more students, more departments with the Department of Energy opportunities and really what the energy industry offers for careers and innovation and business development overall.
Great. If a student team selects a technology that's developed and owned by the Department of Energy, is there any express licensing option for the student teams?
Sure. So on the lab partnering service, you'll be able to understand the level of licensing that's available for those technologies. We will work with the Office of Technology Transitions as your team advances in the competition to make sure you're aware and able to have some conversations with the independent or individual lab tech transfer offices. So by participating in the program, you can leverage the relationships through the Office of Technology Transitions to get that next conversation with the tech transfer office at the individual labs and to understand what those researchers are hoping to accomplish with the technology that was developed. And so while there's no express licensing agreement awarded or any guarantee that that would be executed, we are always happy to facilitate those conversations and help you move that conversation forward because this participation in this program can enable that targeted conversation and give more color and context to what otherwise might be a random email that one of you sends to a random tech transfer officer at one of the 17 national labs. So as much as we can facilitate those collaborations and conversations, we're happy to do so.
Great. If a team wins, is the money awarded to the institution affiliated with the team or the individuals of the team?
So as a prize award and through many of our different American Made Challenges prize award documents, the general guidance is that it is provided to the individuals associated with the team. How that gets further distributed or any other constraints that you need to have as a member of that institution, as someone who is leveraging other university developed technologies will be up to you to determine. And we're happy to have some of those conversations if it becomes more complex. But the way that the prize structure is written through the American Made Challenges Network and the American Made Challenges platform, of which Energy Tech University Prize is a part, is that we do not require that it has to be a collegiate institution or an office of research or a foundation, but rather it is associated with the submitter or the contributor, and that further dissemination will be up to the individual team's structure and collaboration possibilities.
Great. Going back to some of the technologies that are allowable in this competition, are teams able to use technologies that they are developing themselves? And I guess to clarify, it's not a deep technology. So I think this team is looking for some clarity around what stage that technology needs to be in order to develop a business plan.
Sure. So I think that the way that the criteria will appear when you're able to see those rules will be looking for that clear understanding of the market, the path to commercialization, the pricing structure, what's necessary for manufacturing, what's necessary for sales, and how to really implement this into a successful business that is generating revenue, that is profitable, that is able to connect these different elements. So if your technology is early in the development cycle and many of that is still unknown or theoretical, it may not resonate as well with the judging statements and the judges who are looking to identify that business plan, just because there are more unknowns. That's not to say that it can't be successful if it's earlier in that stage, but I would encourage you to look at those rules when they're released to really consider, would we be ranked high when the judges look at the business plan associated with this area? So the fewer uncertainties and fewer unknowns, and the closer you are to commercialization or deployment of these different areas, I think you'll see more success overall, but there isn't a strict limit of the particular readiness level or other areas.
Great. This question is a little bit specific regarding technology types, but Joe, maybe you can answer it. Do lithium-ion battery technologies and printable electronics qualify for the competition?
So I think the way that we're going to phrase these criteria is that it's not going to be restrictive or allowing only certain types of technologies, but rather thinking about how it impacts the energy industry, how it impacts the use or production or consideration of energy, and how it relates to the Department of Energy technology topic areas. And so whether or not you're focused on software or hardware or different approaches to these business models, I think there's a lot of flexibility in what the starting element would be, and the criteria would look more at the execution and the impact of the business itself.
Great. Can pre-existing startups apply?
So as mentioned earlier, we do expect there to be new work associated with participation in this program. And so if the business plan is developed, you already are producing revenue and the technology is already commercialized, then the new work is not being developed associated with the program. So what we would be looking for is the new idea and how that would advance over the course of your participation. So there may be a new facet, a new approach, a new analysis, or a new market that you'd like to consider within your existing business. And that's something that you could present at that regional convener activity. So it's not about the date that the business was formed, but we are expecting new work and new activities associated with your participation in the Energy Tech University Prize, not a resubmission of work that's been done for other programs.
Great, thanks, Joe. And with just a couple minutes left, I think, Joe, if you want to, we've gotten a couple people interested, it looks like, in maybe being a regional convener. So if you would maybe want to mention where's the best place for them to go, or how we can reach out to them regarding regional convening schools.
Yes, so we would love to see people who are engaged and excited about reaching across the aisle, reaching across just their own institution into different community colleges, different universities, different state institutions, to really build this network, to bring people together and to enable the collective growth of the energy industry and the energy opportunities. And so we are still finalizing many of our regional convener partners and defining how many we should have, what areas they should cover. We think that there's a great opportunity for you to be able to connect with additional organizations, with industry, and to be able to share your own mission in partnership with the Office of Technology Transitions through this structure. So if you are interested in being a regional convener, please do send an email to ott.energytechuniversity, Energy Tech Up, not the full university prize, but ott.energytechup@nrel.gov with your interest, and we're happy to have conversations with you in the coming days or into next week to think about what that might look like, how you would reach outside your own collegiate institution, or maybe if you're associated with an accelerator, an incubator, or an innovation cluster, we'd love to talk to you about that possibility as well. So lots of ways to grow as we continue to try to connect more colleges, universities, and organizations together to think creatively about the future of energy. With that, it looks like we're just at the hour. So I apologize if we have not addressed your question. We will follow up by email. the export from Zoom should tell us exactly who asked the question or how we can reach out to you. We look forward to seeing your participation. There's many more details to be developed, released, and shared, but in the next 24 hours, look for an email from us with the PDF resources, with the link to the video by Deputy Secretary of Energy David Turk, a single page PowerPoint that you can use in institutional outreach, and otherwise consider following us on HeroX/EnergyTechUp to continue to get updates as we release the rules, provide additional clarification around eligibility such as citizenship and business formation, and continue to build out this program. We really look forward to seeing what you do to explore these opportunities in energy. And thank you so much for attending this informational webinar on the Office of Technology Transitions Energy Tech University Prize. Thanks so much, everyone.